I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring how faith and resilience can transform lives. Joining me is an amazing author. Her name is Connie Cleaver, and she has penned a wonderful book. It is called A Nurse's Antidote. The Will of God is the Cure. This inspiring book shares powerful stories of faith conquering fear, revealing God's provision and peace during life's storms. If you've ever faced adversity and wondered how to find strength, you'll want to hear Connie's incredible journey, and you'll want to read her incredible book. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Connie, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
You're a registered nurse, correct?
I am. I've been an
And
LVN since the year 2001 and an RN since 2014.
wonderful, wonderful. Apparently, that has had a big impact not only on the lives of others, the people you help, but your own life as well. Tell us what
Yes.
you've learned about faith, about God, about the human condition from nursing.
Well, to just start, I'm nobody special. I'm just one of many that God kind of looks upon and kind of pats on the back every now and then. So I feel like my experience in my life has been really, truly a blessing. In nursing, just to get in the program, I had no money at all. I started from faith. I applied for the nursing program, and they had let one of my colleagues that we tested to see the entrance. They let her know upon finishing her test that she got in, but they didn't say anything to me. And I didn't have any money to go anyway. So I was just doing it on faith base. So whenever I went the next day and she said, Connie Cleaver, why do I know the name Connie Cleaver? And I was like, well, it's probably to send me an alternative list, be on the alternative list. And so whenever she said, she's, oh, you came to sign your acceptance letter. And I dropped to my knees and I was like, thank you so much, God. And I didn't have a dime in the bank or in my pocket. So I knew that if he made the door open, he was going to make my way through. And he did. And
Wonderful.
so during those years of doing nursing, I learned to stand on God's word and be very, very faithful and trusting Him in all situations because they come at every angle. And it's not really fair at times, but it builds endurance.
Absolutely, absolutely. The challenges of life do make you a stronger, better person. And you do realize that through God and with faith, you can get through any storm, which is
Exactly.
wonderful as well. The name of your book is A Nurse's Antidote. Tell us about
Mhm.
that title and what it means.
I thought about that as I was trying to come up with the original cover and the antidote. During the pandemic, we were really trying to find out what could save us from this invisible enemy. So I was thinking that, well, if everybody got a dose of God's faith, that could cure us all. Regardless of what side we end up on, we win. So it's like the nurse's antidote. I'm a nurse. That's an antidote. If everybody got his will, we all win. Whether we live or we die, we all are successful.
Yep. And we
That's
have the
how I,
promise of eternal life as well, which is
yes.
what this life here on earth is all about in the first place anyway. Tell us about your book. Give us an overview, if you would.
An overview is the triumphs, trials, and the fear that first overwhelmed us when we learned about the pandemic. We didn't
Mm.
know where it was coming from, where it was going, how it was going to hit us, how we were going to survive it. And we saw the stories in New York, the ventilators, the nurses that were exhausted, the people that died, the suicides. It was coming from all angles. And it wasn't just in the US, it was global. So I didn't even know what to do or where to go, but you're standing in the middle of leadership and you're fearful for your own life. And it just draws, you have to have something to pull from. And I really didn't. So while I was going to meetings, learning what the CDC was saying, I would go in my office, hear what the staff was saying, and then I would have to go in the bathroom and cry to God for myself as a person. Because there's who do you pull from? You're in the middle. So I have to deal with corporate and I have to deal with the staff that's under me. And I have to pull together the rules because every time you got an outbreak, you have to call state. So state comes in on the P1 and investigates whether you've done your infection control correctly. And if you haven't, corporate comes down on you for that. CDC was steadily changing everything, and you have to stay abundant. But we got no cases, we got no tags. We were really covered by God because I stayed in prayer. Not just me. I'm not saying I'm special, but we stayed in prayer. We stayed together. And a threefold cord is not easily broken. So as long as we stay together and we stayed as a team, we stay covered. And I
When
thank
you,
God
when
for
you
that.
say you had no cases, you mean you had no cases among the hospital staff like yourself, or
Well,
you
we
had
were
no
a nursing
cases
home
of
at the
COVID
time.
coming to the hospital?
Yes. The facility that I was in at the time received no cases of COVID.
Wow.
None. And that's why I wrote the book, because it was God's protection, pleading the blood every morning, whether we prayed openly or whether we prayed privately, we were all just covered. And that stayed consistent while I was there.
Amazing, amazing. So you
It
guys
is.
must have been like, what's going on? You see these images on TV, like you said, of
Yeah.
people on ventilators and young people struck down in their prime,
Yes.
and you're wondering when that's going to happen to your facility.
Yeah.
Did you guys pray collectively? Did you pray individually? Did small
Did it
groups
in the
come together?
mornings. Yes, in the mornings and the meetings that sometimes we would pray. In the office, we would pray together as a small group, and then I would individually pray. And we would just do certain things to help us keep it out. And if we noticed anything, we would just shun it. Like coming in, we would wash the walls, step on bleach. We didn't know how it was getting in, but naturally, the residents that were in the facility weren't bringing it in. It was the workers. So we had to keep a close eye on who was going out, who was going, and we didn't know what they were doing once they left work. We just know they were symptomatic when they came back. So if we caught that in time, it would spread throughout the facility. So we kept a close eye on that. We,
You're actually able to take people and evaluate them before they entered the facility. The
yes,
workers made sure
yes,
they were disease free or appeared symptom free, right?
and continuously educating them that this is not anything light. This is not the flu. This is
Mm,
not a common cold. This is killing worldwide.
mm,
And once everyone caught on to the seriousness of it, everybody adhered to what we were trying to do. We would shout over the intercom, wash your hands every 2 hours. You
yeah.
have to stop what you were doing and go wash your hands. On the end of it, we would just spray our feet in Lysol, anything to stay sanitized, because you can't be germ free
Right.
unless you just stay at home. And there were a lot of people that quit, just stayed home and gave up. Okay, if you're not a part of the team, you're against this. But we don't have any ill will against you. Just don't make it to where everybody else who's trying has to give up on what they're trying to do. So our outcome was great. Our outlook was promising, but faith kept us in the midst of fear, and that's what the book is about.
Amazing. What do you hope readers take away from this book, and how do you hope they apply the lessons learned in your book to their own lives?
I really want them to grow stronger in their faith, to trust God, to depend on Him, and know that His word is true, because only what we do for Christ will last. I mean, you've been in movies, I've been in jobs, and we're steady getting older in age. But I noticed as a nurse that a lot of the people forget what they eat. A lot of people forget their families. A lot of people forget their medicines, but they don't forget Christ. That's amazing to me. In dementia, they'll remember Christ, but they won't remember the name. They won't remember how to split a chicken. They won't remember how to take their medicine, but they will remember Christ. They will remember Jesus and God. It's one or the other, and it's so marvelous to see them quote scriptures or tell stories of faith, and that wisdom you can't buy anywhere. So I love my job, and that's what my book is written upon.
And you worked hard to get where you are.
Yes,
Like you said, you went from being a LPN to an RN, you got your education. Along the way, you're a single mom as well. You had to raise
yes.
children. Tell us a little bit about your personal struggles to be your best self and to raise yourself up so you could help your children.
Well, I'm by far nothing perfect. I'm the least person to call perfect. But I thank God for everything that I've been through. I really do. I started out, my mom was a single parent, and the struggles throughout our childhood are, in the book. but God was with us then, and it was six of us. I'm the fourth of six kids. So in the middle, you always that extra child. You're not the baby. You're not the oldest. You're not the funniest. You're not this, that, and the third. But you have to count some kind of way. And I thank God that now I know that God has no grandchildren. He has no nieces and nephews. Everybody's a child of God. Everybody's a joint heir to Jesus Christ. And once I realized that, it took me to another level of faith, another level of depending on God, regardless of what I've been through. I'm sure you have hurts in your past. I have hurts in my past from my childhood, and it wasn't just from school. It wasn't just in personal life. I hurt myself. So I have to forgive myself and not live with the guilt of the wrongs that I've done. Asking for forgiveness of my sins is different from asking for the forgiveness of my iniquities. My iniquities are perversions that abominations that I've done against Christ, and I want forgiveness for that. If my book can help one person turn their hearts towards God by increasing their faith and standing on what He has written, then I've accomplished my mission. It's not just to sell a book, but it's to get the testimony out that God still is reigning on the throne, that He is still in charge. And that's, I don't want to go too personal because my children can read. Some things I'll have to take to the grave with me, but I
Right.
do ask God for forgiveness for all. Um,
Absolutely.
I love family. I love children. I love the elderly because I think that's the wisdom of the earth. And I just feel like the Creator is so beyond. He's so mesmerizing. If you just studied the Bible, he mesmerized me just so much. And I'm not overly religious. I just want to be where Jesus is. That's all.
Wonderful. It's a beautiful message, particularly spreading this wonderful message this time of year during the season where we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. The name of the book is The Nurse's Antidote. The Will of God is the Cure. It is an inspiring book that shares powerful stories of faith, conquering fear, revealing God's provision and peace during life's storms. If you've
Yeah.
ever faced adversity, and all of us have, and wondered how to find the strength, you'll want to pick up this incredible book and read about Connie's incredible journey. Connie, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Great having you on the show. We appreciate your candor. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.